Hey guys, it's Fida and today we're going to be making donuts. These donuts are super delicious and they taste exactly like store-bought donuts. The dough for these donuts are super basic and can be made with very minimal ingredients. We have 4 simple steps to make these donuts. First is going to be making the dough, then shaping the donuts, after that frying it, and finally the toppings. I'll be using sugar today, but you can customize the toppings any way you like. So without any further ado, let's get on to making it. First up, for making the dough, take a large mixing bowl and let's mix in all the ingredients. I've taken 80 milliliters of warm milk, that is exactly 1/3 cup. Add in a tablespoon of sugar. Just mix that up and dissolve the sugar in the milk. Always make sure that your milk is not too hot, not too cold either. It should just be perfectly warm for the yeast to bloom. Add in yeast. Gently mix that up. Do not overmix. If you do, then the yeast is not going to bloom up really well. At this point, you can keep it for blooming for maybe 10 minutes, but that's only optional. You can continue making it and add in the rest of your ingredients. Add in the all-purpose flour, some salt, crack in 1 egg, and then add butter. Mix it with a spoon until it comes together and then you can start kneading with your hands. You don't have to knead this for too long. Knead it only until the dough comes together and then you can stop. If you over knead it, you're going to work up the gluten and then our donuts are going to be too stretchy. Knead it until well combined and it comes to a soft dough. Also make sure that your dough is really soft. If you feel that your dough is too sticky, then you can add in some flour, or if you feel that your dough is too thick, add in a little bit of milk. Make sure that your dough is really soft, because that way the donuts are going to be soft too. The softer your dough, the softer the donuts will turn out to be. After you're done kneading, cover it and keep it aside for 45 minutes to rest. That way the dough will rise up and the yeast will bloom. After 45 minutes, you'll see that the dough rises up to double or triple size. Now it's time to divide this dough into small balls and then we can shape the donuts. So take the dough out of the bowl and put it onto the countertop. We need to punch out any air bubbles that were created while resting and then the dough will come back to its normal size. Right now, make a ball out of this dough and then we can divide it into smaller balls. I'm using a knife and cutting this dough into 8 equal sized balls. So the measurement of the ingredients I've said in this recipe will give you 8 servings. If you want more, increase the recipe by double. Now take each of these cut out pieces and make a perfect ball out of it. Once it's all done, we can start shaping the dough, but before shaping it, make sure that you keep this dough covered at all times. If it's not covered, there are high chances that your dough will dry out, so we don't need that. Use your hands and press the dough out into a long flat piece like this, and then roll it. Just use your fingers to roll it out like I'm showing in the video. And now continue rolling it. Just keep rolling until you get a really long and thin piece. Roll it out to something like this, and then for shaping it, cross it right in the middle and create a loop. Then take each of the ends and start threading it around this loop. You can just follow the steps I've shown in the video, that way it's going to be easier. Once the 2 ends meet, pinch it together really well. If it's not pinched and attached well, then it's going to start falling apart while we're frying it. So always make sure to pinch it really well. And the final result should look somewhat like this. And then place that onto a piece of parchment paper. If you're not keeping it in a parchment paper, make sure to use some oil on your countertop and then keep it on top of that. Since the dough is really soft, it's going to stick to the countertop if you're not using oil. Now continue doing the same thing with the rest of your dough and finish shaping your donuts. We'll be keeping these donuts for resting for around 30 minutes after shaping them. And when it's resting, it's going to rise quite a bit. So when you're keeping it in the parchment paper, you need to make sure that you're leaving a little bit of space between each of these donuts, or they're going to stick together. I've shaped all of the donuts. Now we need to cover this and let this rest for another 30 minutes before frying. After 30 minutes, it will rise quite a bit. So use the scissors and cut out the parchment paper to separate each of these donut pieces. And now it's time to fry. Into some hot oil, put in these donuts. Add it right with the parchment paper itself, and when the donuts separate from the parchment paper, you can remove the parchment paper out. We need to fry these donuts in plenty of oil. If we're not using enough oil, then the donuts are going to settle on the bottom of the pan, and that way we're not going to get that even golden brown color throughout the donuts. So make sure to use plenty of oil. Once it turns this light golden brown color, just flip it over and let the other side cook just in the same way. Another thing that you should always keep in mind while frying these donuts is that the flame should be at the lowest. Only then will the donuts cook properly. If the flame is too much, then there are really high chances that the outside of your donuts might burn out while the inside will still be raw. Once both of the sides come to that nice golden brown color, you can transfer that to a plate or a bowl. And now it's time for the toppings. So it's always better to serve these donuts right when it's hot. That way it's going to be so much more softer. So as soon as you're taking it out of the oil, you can directly coat it in sugar. Just make sure you don't burn your hands. And instead of the sugar, you can use any sort of toppings that you like. You can maybe dip it in chocolate, add some sprinkles, and go for anything that you want. I'm just keeping it basic today by just dipping it in sugar. So keep doing the same thing. Fry the rest of your donuts, dip them in your toppings, and then you can serve it. Like I said, it would always be better to serve it hot because it's going to be softer that way, but it's pretty much going to be still soft even if it's the next morning or has completely cooled down. Once all of the donuts are topped off, it's ready to be served. So I hope you try this recipe out because it's super delicious. The inside is soft. You can customize the toppings the way you want. And it's a really amazing recipe, so make sure to try it out and send all your feedbacks in the comment box. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also ring the notification bell so that you get notifications every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching. Love cooking. Bye bye.